Welcome to the Nürburgring Nordschleife and welcome to the third round of the World Sim Series Premium Sprint Challenge. We're here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit and we've got the BMW M235i cars completing their final runs in this qualifying session. As the clock has run out, so we're looking at the final few drivers to cross the line and finish their attempts at this qualifying session. See how the drivers do. This will be a very, very interesting race, as it often is here on World Sim Series, here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. It's always a fascinating race from this infamous racetrack. Difficult place to overtake, more difficult than tracks like Vallelunga that we had last time are, but definitely a place where that is still possible, and much more possible and much higher is the risk of drivers making mistakes out on track. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how our teams and drivers manage to get through this qualifying session and, well, later on the race as well. Simon Speff on your screens. Nobody has actually set a lap time, so even if we do see Jan Nims as first on the timing board, that does not mean he is quickest, although he has set a lap, but it was not... Actually, Simon Speff has set a lap, but that wasn't counted in the results. So clearly some kind of an issue for him. Maybe a off-track situation somewhere. That's also very much a possibility. Grantas Karatskis, fresh from his outing at the FIA Motorsport Games in Valencia. He's out on the circuit right now. He's also being counted as being on an outlap, so I do wonder when these times will come in. That will be very, very interesting to see what can Grantas do. I'm sure not too much practice. But it is a circuit that does reward the drivers that have a lot of experience around this circuit. Yuri Lapo back down to the pits. Most cars back down to the pits. Mack still on the circuit. Simon Speff still on the circuit. Jan Nims still on the circuit. And Telianos as well, still on track. See who can still set a valid time. We do have BOP from the previous 2 rounds, so Jan Nims comes in with a ballast of 15 kilos. Italianos comes in with a 5 kilo BOP. Everybody else is running with cars without any extra weight on them. Grandis clearly ran a little bit wide, looked to have survived. But still, maybe not the greatest of laps for him. Italianos on circuit as well. He's just a little bit further down the road. Actually, just a couple of seconds up the road. Yep. So I don't think they'll meet on track, but clearly both cars close. And Simon Speff is, I believe, the car that's furthest down the track. He's actually coming up to the carousel. Nims is coming up there as well. So I think Italianos is, in the middle of them. With Speff being a tiny bit ahead. Yep, so Speff is ahead in terms of track position on qualifying. So they've actually spaced themselves out quite well, and these are the only 4 cars still on the circuit at the moment. Speff car furthest down the lap so far. Nobody else setting times, so they'll be gridded up in the order that they finished the pre-qualifying session that led up in the last 2 weeks to this event. We've obviously got the 24 hours of Nordschleife this weekend as well, so I'm sure drivers have been preparing for that. That's on ACC, so track experience carrying over, probably setup and car experience not so much, especially in the M235i class. So maybe some drivers also picking to focus more on that, so a little bit of a smaller grid than what we had at Vallelunga, but I'm sure still should be a very, very entertaining race. And we might have drivers out of position after this qualifying session. They only really had 1 attempt at doing this qualifying session. I think Italianos might actually be getting closer to Simon Speff, at least looking at it in terms of where the cars are on the circuit. Grantas Kratskas, like I said, is the last one who's going to come across the line. Goes off very, very wide as he runs on to the back straight. Now you can see a few cars together. That's Jan Nims up in front, so Italianos in between Speff and Nims. These guys spaced out on track pretty perfectly between each other. See what happens here as Speff goes into the braking zone. And through the final turn, let's see if his lap will be good enough for pole, and if it is even counted in this qualifying session. 9:18.9 he sets, and actually him and Italianos are the only 2 cars to set a lap in this session. And nobody else managed to do that, so probably too late to the line as they had to do a full warm-up lap. Had to get themselves spaced out, and clearly Speff and Italianos did it the best as they as they take first and second in this qualifying session. Then it's going to be Nims, Karatskas, Lapo, Essa, Soldukas, Fernandez, Flanagan, Robbins, and Mack. That is your 11 on the grid. So everybody from Nims down is ordered by their position in the pre-qualifying session. Here we go, getting ready for the race. The first race of the weekend. Of the evening, not the weekend. The first race of the weekend. We'll see how this goes. About half a minute to go until we get underway. You can see Jan Nims still in the pits, as is Robbins, so he might lose Jan Nims here. As we get ready to go racing for the first race from the Nordschleife here. And I believe we're off. Yep, we are off. Some issues at the start, but Simon Speff holds the lead ahead of Talianos as they run down into turn one. Grantas Karatskas loses a lot of time, but actually because he was gridded a little bit further back than the last car on the grid was, as Karatskas under pressure from Mack down the inside into turn one, and I think Karatskas just got spun round. Trying to see if we can find him on track. Nope, he actually stayed on track. Maybe just some contact a little bit further behind. So Simon Speff leads this one at the front of the grid. Then Italianos, Karatskas, Lapo, Mack, Essa, Fernandez. Essa actually going wide. Nims in 7th. He started from the pits. Robbins in 9th. 10th for Flanagan, and Soldukas in 11th. He's still in the pit lane. Speff, though, under pressure, very much so, from Talianos right behind him. I think that was Jan Nims actually making a move, trying to make a move around the outside, up into 6th already. He'll have a chance at 5th as they come up to the Schumacher S, and this is their first run through the GP track, what is set to be 2 laps of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. At least that's what we expect here today for these 2 races. On the anchors goes Jan Nims. He's still behind. He's got a little bit of damage at the rear. Talianos, though, very, very close to Simon Speff up at the front of the field, but I don't think he's going to be rushing to make a move. Oh, somebody a little bit off the road, but not completely off, so survives. I think Talianos, he's going to stay behind. Yes, he does. Is Jan Nims going to stay behind, though? He does. Not much of a choice for him here, but he has to start getting through the field, and I think this will be his chance. Now into that braking zone, Fernandez blocks the inside line and stays in front of the championship leader. Goes down the inside, does Nims. A little bit of contact, a little bit of side-by-side, and as they run down the hill, this will be tight. Well, somebody's got a lift. We'll see who it is. It had to be Jan Nims being on the outside. Not the preferred line to take into that part of the circuit. He'll have to try again. Nims definitely leader of the championship, and leader of the championship by a big, big haul of points. 90 points for Nims, 65 for Mendeles, who's not here today, 48 for Tonila, who's not here today. Then it's Speff on 48 as well, 45 for Talianos. So these are the 2 drivers fighting Jan Nims at the front of the field. Nims still trying something, and Fernandez, well, he's not giving it up. Jan Nims again to the outside. Through Flugplatz, that's gotta be a very brave move to be done. Not gonna happen. Well, not surprised, really. That's not the place you try and overtake around the outside. He's getting a little bit desperate. He's already 6.8 behind the lead. He needs to start moving forward and start reducing that gap as they come up to Schwedenkreuz. Big defense from Fernandez. He's gonna want to hold on to this position and fighting hard. definitely not giving Nims an easy time out here on the circuit, as we'll go down into the foxhole. Nims glued to the back of the BMW in front of him. Can he get something done into the foxhole? He's looking inside, outside, but just not finding any space for himself. Fernandez doing a really, really good job at the front of the field. Now Nims finds a spot to the inside. Fernandez holds on around the outside, still holds position. Fernandez, he's not going to give this up, but battling hard, he pushes Nims to the grass. Well, battling really, really hard, being really, really aggressive against Jan Nims here. And already 8.5 behind the lead. This is obviously for pole in race 2. Big move under brakes from Fernandez. I'm not sure the stewards will be happy about that one. It looked almost okay throughout all of it, but now was a move under braking. I'm sure stewards will have a look at that, but 9 seconds now down from the lead is Nims. This is going to frustrate him more and more to the inside. He goes again, not enough space. Fernandez holds on. Still holds on, but now Nims is going to be on the inside. Fernandez, nope, actually Fernandez stays there. And Nims, again, can't find anything. Fernandez, even as he outbrakes himself, he doesn't give that position up to Nims. Nims, I'm sure he's getting frustrated. He's stuck behind a slower driver, definitely in front of him, but a very, very smart one in the way that he's been able to defend so far. They're now 10 seconds down from the lead. I think that is battle for the win over for Jan Nims, but at least he's trying for 5th place onto the grass. They keep touching Nims off. Oh, that was contact and Nims off. Fernandez, well, he stays in 5th, but well, if everything up to that point was on the edge, this looked a little bit over the edge. Fernandez, well, absolutely going left, right, and I think he's gone a little bit too far now. As well, if before it was defending, now I think you could call it blocking. He's well, actually spun Nims around into the wall. Nims survived somehow as they come side by side into Mutkurva. Nims can't do anything, and look here, Fernandez is driving smart. He's actually defending the inside and defending the places that he needs to defend. So Nims can't get through, but sometimes Fernandez just goes a little bit over what is normal, as Nims now makes contact to the rear, though. No harm done. We'll see. We'll catch up with this battle in a moment, because the battle for the lead very much alive. Karatskas, Talianos, and Spef in reverse order, as Spef leads. Talianos second and Karatskas in third. Big battle as Spef defends the insider. I think he went wide. Talianos down the inside. Karatskas tries it as well. Contact with Spef, so a lot of contact from everybody. And I think Spef holds on to that position so far. Going back to Nims, nothing changes for him as he tried going down the inside again. This is pretty entertaining. The leaders have extended their gaps a little bit. We'll go back to those battles when they get just that tiny bit closer, because this is still super duper interesting. How will Nims get past? I mean, he has to wait until the Dottinga at this point. There's not much choice for him. But with a heavily damaged car, we'll see how much speed does he actually have. Fernandez off wide, big slide, holds on somehow, so keeps the car under control and keeps position. That 5th place, by the way, that's pole position for race 2. And if Fernandez can defend like this all the time, well, I mean, he can win the race. Starting from pole, but I think he's going to be under more threat, and he's going to be very, very vulnerable once they get to the Dottinga. Fernandez off wide, and I think that gives Nims a chance finally. Yep, it does, and Nims finally through 14 seconds down from the lead, though he's lost about 7 to 8 seconds in this battle alone, and he's got no chance at getting back to the lead. Back to the lead pack, though. It's Karatskas versus Spef now for position. Talianos has gotten himself a pretty decent gap at the front of the field. Inching closer and closer. Karatskas goes to the outside. Well, this is the best overtaking opportunity, absolutely. Gets the move done. Is Speff going to come back at him, though? But Karatskas actually getting closer to Talianos now, so picking up his slipstream as well at the front. So pretty smart. Actually manages to hold on against Speff, who Speff actually comes back at Karatskas, goes to the outside. I wasn't expecting this, to be honest. And Speff gets the position back. Karatskas loses that one. Back to, well, status quo as it was as they entered the Dottingoa. Karatskas, I'm sure, will try and get a move done down into turn 1. We'll see if that happens. To the outside goes Karatskas. This is going to be brave if he can do it. And nope, has to back out of it. Makes sense, really. Wouldn't have expected anything else, to be honest. And Karatskas still behind, and no change yet for position. They're all locked in, half a second behind each other. Very equal gaps between all of the cars, half a second between all of them. But the gaps get bigger as they get through the turns. They go through fast turns. There's not much aero on these cars, but still a little bit of aero wash on them anyway. So losing a little bit of time, not too much, but still a loss. So still can sometimes be a little bit difficult. Gaps increasing just a little bit. We'll see. Well, Karatskas needs to make his move in the early part of the lap if he really wants to get close, but actually now it's Speff back on the fight. And Karatskas getting closer as well, so the gap just coming up and down, up and down. It feels well, I don't want to say random, but it looks like some of these guys are experts at one corner and maybe not so quick in others, or at least just making mistakes. Maybe just a little bit of pressure. But these guys are experienced. They shouldn't be feeling that much pressure, really. Nims, by the way, not really getting closer to Lapo. He is, but I don't think it's going to be by enough to have a chance at 4th. So I think Nims is on course for pole position for race 2. Here comes Speff. Is he going to try and take that inside line? Talianos does defend it, so felt enough of a threat to actually try that line. And Speff stays behind, at least for now. Karatskas stays behind as well, but Karatskas now on the back of Speff. Very, very close. Almost looks like he's bump drafting him down into the foxhole. And I guess putting pressure on Speff, and I think Speff is feeling a little bit. Just looks like his lines are a tiny bit more tight. He's a little bit tighter into all of the turns, just sacrificing a little bit of his entry just to make sure there isn't a very, very late dive bomb from Karatskas. And I don't think there really is. Not much of a plan from Grantas Karatskas to really dive it here. I think he's waiting for the Dottingoa, there is a chance to overtake 2 cars down one straight. It is a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out. Oh, looked like a wiggle there from Simon Speff. These cars, they are very, very loose sometimes, and clearly Simon Speff showing that big wiggles. Wiggles under braking as well, so maybe not feeling, not giving him extra confidence, the wiggles, definitely, but not, maybe he's not trusting the car as much as he'd want to. Still, these gaps stay pretty stable. I think Karatskas wants Speff to make a move here. That would make sense to me. If Speff can try and make a move, I think Karatskas can capitalize on that and maybe take both of them at the same time. Speff again just tries to defend that inside line just a little bit. And kind of sacrifices his entry. Here comes Speff now to the outside. It's going to be the inside for the Mudkurv if he can hold on to this one. Taliano's really pushing him. Karatskas picks the outside line. He thinks that's going to be better. Well, indecisive down the middle. Now he's going to do it. Now he's going to cross. He gets Talianos on the move. Can he get Speff as well? He's on the outside. That's going to be brave if he can do it to the grass. And he's going to barely survive that one. Stays ahead of Talianos for the time being, but maybe, just maybe, something might change. That battle's still continuing. And Talianos gets in front. Couldn't get the camera switched quickly enough, but Talianos actually gets in front as Karatskas ran wide. Big mistake from him. He tried to hold it round the outside, and, well, that was very, very optimistic, I would say, to try and hold that position round the outside. He's going to have to get past now, and he's going to have to hustle because he's got 1.6 actually to the lead. So if he wants that lead, he's going to have to do it now. He's going to have to make his move right about now. Nims 6.2 behind Lapo. Lapo 4 seconds behind this battle, so unless they crash, he's not a threat here. Taliano's running wide, clearly feeling the pressure. It's up to about 2 seconds. I think Speff is safe in the lead. He made the right choice there of when to make the move and how to defend against Karatskas, who was coming in hot. So now it's all about what can Karatskas do. Can he make the move? You have to back off a little bit and try and slipstream it up down the Dottingoa. Can he go down the inside here after Talianos makes a mistake? Nope, can't happen, doesn't happen, as they both get into line. And this track, well, definitely a difficult, big jump over that curb. It's a difficult place to overtake. You think 180 corners, but probably count on my hands how many turns you can actually make a move through. Wow, up into the air goes Karatskas. Big jump, but he looks to be feeling pretty confident with that car. He looks to be able to use it, so this might bode well for race 2. But still under pressure is Talianos. Is Karatskas gonna back off before he heads on to the straight, or is he going to keep it pinned and keep going? I think he's going to keep it pinned. He has actually lost just a little bit. He's dropped the gap to about 0.3 of a second, so he's going to have a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a run-up to the back of Talianos before he makes that move. Here we go, down the Dottingoa. Lapo and Nims definitely not in a battle, not in this one, and not in a battle between each other. No real other battle on circuit as Karatskas goes to the outside. See if he can actually get through. He does get through for now, but Talianos comes back at him, just catches a little bit of slipstream, Now they're going to side draft all the way down this hill and through the S section. Is there going to be contact? Who's going to hold on to this one? Karetskas looks to be in the better position. Maybe not. Now he's in the better position. He goes to the inside. Italiano's almost into the wall. Karetskas almost into the wall. And I think Karetskas is just about going to hold on to this one. But Italiano's, I don't think it's done just yet, because he's going to try and do something down the straight. Spef wins it. Karetskas drag race to the line, but I think he takes second just about in this one. Lapo, he's going to close out the race in fourth. Jan Nims is going to close out the race in fifth place. Robbins finishes this one. Well, he's going to finish it as he runs. Oh, I thought he ran into the barrier. He finishes in sixth. Seventh is going to go the way of Visa. Flanagan in 8th, I think Mac in 9th, I believe. So, who still takes the checkered flag here. Still got a bit of time. Mac is actually at the start of the lap, but he's going all sideways. And I do believe I may have Lorinas actually joining me in a couple minutes time, or even a couple of seconds time, as we watch Mac, who's somehow completed 2 pit stops in this race, where it's a 2-lap race. He's still not finished.
Yep, hi everyone. Sorry for being a little bit late. Coming into the game and looking how one lucky driver on the racetrack, when it's already finished, is still completing his job. As Gustas mentioned, he already completed 2 pit stops, so maybe it was a back to the pit lane magic button of the Assetto Corsa.
Maybe, but he's crossed the start-finish line once, and he's completed 2 pit stops, so he's actually still on track. He still needs to finish this race. Got about half a lap more to go. So a little bit of time for the leaders to rest, though. That's nice.
Yep, and it's still the first running of the first race of this series. As usual, we have 2 races. There you go. I think he was not allowed to finish what he started because of due to the time limitations.
Yep, I think so. A few drivers exiting out.
A little bit tricky with this track always when you have some live events. Sometimes it's tricky to calculate the correct needed time to finish 1 lap, and I think we had some sort of an issue with the qualifying session.
Yes.
Anyways, it is what it is. Still got some racing action going. Simon Speth has just won the first race, with Grantas Karetskas finishing 2nd, Italiano's 3rd, Lapo 4th, Jan Nims 5th, and our current championship leader will start the race from pole position, the 2nd race from pole position. Essa 6th, Fernandez 7th, Robbins 8th, Flangman 9th, Mack 10th, and I think Soldukas is without a finish.
No, he didn't even start that one, so he just sat in the pits for most of the race. Nims will be on pole. A difficult race 1 for him, starting from the back of the grid. He had gotten himself up into 6th, and then just got completely stuck behind Fernandez, but I don't think Fernandez is here for race 2, so this will all be about how much of a gap can Nims make, and how much can Talianos, Karatskas, and Spef catch up, or if they can catch up at all. And just 10 seconds to go until we go green for race 2 here at the Nürburgring. Lights are out and we go racing once again from the Eifel Mountains. Jan Nims takes the lead, well, unsurprisingly starting from pole, but holds on to it as he's got Lapo right behind him. Talianos already giving pressure to Lapo right behind him. As Talianos tries to go to the outside, Karatskas thinks about being the meat in the sandwich, decides better of it, and don't be surprised by the TCR lettering on that car from Lapo. That's definitely a BMW M235i Cup car, not a TCR. As they head down into the braking zone, I think Karatskas might just be able to get Lapo on this one. He does, and will this also allow Spef through? Nope, not enough for him. So Spef will have to wait, and he'll have to make that move later. But Talianos and Karatskas having a great start and putting pressure on to Jan Nims. Lapo off the road now. I don't know if there was contact. I don't think so.
I think he just outbraked himself.
But definitely off the road. Goes down to 6, so actually only lost 1 position. Could have been worse.
Yeah, lost a little bit of time compared to his main rivals. Speth in 4th is already 2-3 seconds ahead. So yeah, maybe not such a big loss. And considering this is a very long track with a lot of corners, and well, any of the drivers can make some mistakes, so you just need to keep it together and try to stay as close to your main rivals as possible. And here goes Yuri Lapo. Not a lot of rivals for him to compete with, so easily back into P5, the same spot where he left the track being at.
Well, really, he's got, well, 1 rival, and now it's pretty much done, at least looking at how race 1 went. Lapo was kind of in that middle ground of can't go forward, can't go backward, really. He had Nims behind him, but a heavily damaged car of Nims. Really, Nims had no chance to catch up, and if he would have caught up, that would have been incredible, but yeah, I don't think he really had a chance there.
Yep, so 6 rounds in total. 1 round can be eliminated when calculating the overall results for the drivers, and it looks like most of them have decided to miss this one out. A long track, a lot of drivers love this circuit, and also there's a lot of drivers who kind of choose to not participate here because it creates a lot of well, it not creates a lot of bad situations, but it takes a lot of time to prepare for the races, because you need like 4 times more practice time than you would need to have on other tracks. I mean, it's a 8 minutes, 9 minutes lap.
Oh, really? I would say probably even more. I mean,
yeah, it's a little bit longer than 9 minutes. So
I'd say more practice, because if you look at it in terms of lap time, maybe it makes sense, but really, this place, it's harder to learn, and it's also harder to master and find out all of those little quirks that this place has got, because it's, I mean, the beginning part of the track is so much different from the middle part and the ending part of the circuit that it feels like you're driving on 6 different tracks, so it takes a lot of time to master this place, and yeah, practice takes much longer.
Yep, so maybe that's why we see a half-empty track. that has a very long lap, and we are still on lap 1 while Grantas Kareckas tries to overtake Telianos. By the way, this is the second race for Grantas Kareckas. He missed out the first round, but I think he decided to kind of join this championship a little bit later in the game. Or is it the first round for Grantas Kareckas for the sprint challenge? I'm trying to figure out.
I think sprint challenge wise it is first round. He definitely ran in the endurance challenge last time out.
Oh, and here goes Grantas Kareckas, though he is forced to choose the outside line while battling with Telianos. And he tries to hang on there as we approach a right-hander, a small contact, but Telianos manages to keep it all together and goes a little bit wide. Still keeps Grantas Kareckas on his tail, so nice driving by driver from Cyprus. But he's being constantly attacked by one of the fastest sim racers on, at least on the World Sim Series platform. Grantas Kareckas joined the Endurance Championship 2 weeks ago, Endurance Challenge, and he managed to snatch that win, which was a little bit unexpected because, well, we have that very fast-flying German on participating in the championship, and, well, it's really a big challenge for the drivers to overtake Jan Nimtz on the racetrack, but it looks like Grantas Kareckas was well and prepared, and here goes Telianos. Not much job needed by Grantas Kareckas. Telianos outbraked himself and lost 2 places in one corner because not only Kareckas but also Simon Speth managed to overtake Telianos, so it was a nice start of this race for Telianos. Now he needs to recover and at least try to avoid the mistakes, similar mistakes, one of those he already made.
Yep, this place definitely, it's easy to make a mistake and lose a lot of positions, because it's also very, very difficult to gain positions. So moves are sometimes made, call it desperately, but close to that, and that oftentimes means more time loss for everybody involved, actually.
Yep, we now have Telianos still right on the tail of Simon Speth. Speth runs a little bit wide. It was not too wide, still managed to keep Telianos on his tail, and we've got Kareckas, who is trying to put another challenge on Jan Nimtz as he tries to kind of gain on his rival. Trying to look at the results, at the live results, which we don't have a lot of because we are still on lap 1 of the second race. Kareckas currently slightly slower than Jan Nimtz. Kareckas finished second in the first race, just a couple of seconds behind Simon Speth. The fastest driver on the racetrack was Jan Nimtz, though he finished 5th. Currently running first. I think he will not have too huge of a problem to win this one, especially knowing Jan Nimtz and the love that he has for this racetrack. Grantas Kareckas was slightly slower in the first one. Maybe he found a little bit pace for the second run. Still trying to chase down Jan Nimtz, the most experienced driver on the platform. It's going to be a tough challenge, but the young Lithuanian, he's kind of on fire in at least during this year by winning local Dream to Drive championship, becoming a part of a real race team, and he recently he should have just returned from the FIA Motorsports Games that he went as he managed to win the Dream to Drive championship and winning that prize. So basically out of an airplane straight into his home rig and to participate in this World Sim Series Sprint Challenge. I'm pretty sure we will see him in the Endurance Challenge as soon as this race ends. And we have the final lap starting on our screens, and the gap between Jan Nims and Grantas Karetskas is basically glued. 3.2 seconds, it's up to 3.3, back down to 3.2, so very similar pace from both of the current leaders. It's going to be a tough challenge for Grantas Karetskas if he wants to win the second race. Jan Nims has...
Yeah, I think he's... It's going to require a mistake from Nims. Even if Karetskas is quicker, I don't think he's going to be 3 seconds quicker. I just really can't see that happening here.
No, and he might gain on Jan Nims. That's one part, if he would manage to gain on Jan. The second part of the fun is overtaking Jan Nims on the racetrack, and that would be a really difficult task, and Grantas Karetskas losing out a little bit to Jan Nims on the Grand Prix part of the circuit. It's up to 3.4 of a second, so a couple of tenths lost around this modern racetrack as we enter the old and the long part of the track. Grantas Karetskas runs so tight into the hairpin, into the chicane, that he almost loses control of his BMW, though he didn't lose time. It just looked a little bit tricky, but that means that Grantas Karetskas is right on the edge of the limits, and maybe racing and participating in this race just to slightly better prepare for the endurance event. 45 minutes and 1 mandatory pit stop. So that's gonna give us, what, 4 laps?
No.
Maybe 5.
Because it's also going to be the GT Freeze on track, so I think more.
Yeah, for the GT Freeze it's gonna be more, but it couldn't be more for the BMW, so it should be 4 to 5 laps. Yeah, it's gonna be 4 laps. 5 laps, yeah, it's gonna be 5 laps.
Yeah, we should get to 5. See if we actually have any lapping out on track. I don't think we'll get to it. I think this might be the only place where we don't actually have traffic for the leaders. I don't think they'll catch up in 45 minutes.
Nope. I think that's gonna be impossible, or maybe the GT.
I mean, they'll catch up to some BMW drivers who are much slower, but I don't think they'll lap the leaders. I think they'll be just a little bit too far away because these M235i cars, they're a little bit slower than the GT4s. And I think we actually had a 24 or 12 hours of Nürburgring here on World Sim Series where we did have the GT Freeze and the M235is, so don't think we'll have any lapped cars out on track. I do have to check the point system though and see who's actually gonna be in front if this race finishes the way it is right now.
It's actually, the point system is similar to a Formula 1 pointing system. 25 for the winner, 18 for second place, and so on.
Okay, so Spef would come out with the biggest points haul out of today.
Yep, and it's still not over. So the fastest lap of Grantas Karetskas in race 1 was 9 minutes 21.8, and the fastest lap by Simon Speth was a couple of seconds faster. And look at the gap now. Simon Speth is actually quite close to the back end of Grantas Karetskas. So now the biggest focus for Grantas Karetskas is not looking forwards and trying to chase down Jan Nimtz. He's basically trying to race against Simon Speth. I think both of them are similar on pace, but it looks like Rantas Kareckas didn't have enough practice. That's why he chose to start in the sprint event, because, well, I think they came back home yesterday. Maybe on Sunday, I'm not sure, but anyways, they spent the weekend in Spain on the Valencia circuit, where Rantas Kareckas participated on the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform. So he definitely didn't have a chance to do a lot of practice laps, though I'm pretty sure he knows this track inside and out. But you still need to put at least a couple of laps, maybe 10 laps of practice before you enter an event like this with competitive drivers, because, well, you need to feel the flow of the circuit. No matter how well you know it, it's the combination not only of a new track but also of the car that you run in. So you need to find the limits and good lap times. Look at Simon Speth. He's slightly faster on this part of the circuit, and we basically, we are running through the first carousel corner, and that's basically the middle of the lap. So not a lot of well, half of lap is still on the clock, and Rantas Kareckas found a better line through the concrete part of the track.
He needs to stay at about 0.7 of a second in front to be safe on the Dottinger, at least looking at how it went in race 1. So we'll see if that actually does happen, but I think he might just about hold on to this position. He just needs to not let Simon Speth get too close towards the end of this lap. Italianos, though, he looked much quicker in race 1. Even after he finished 3rd, he was actually very quick and held the lead for a while during race 1. So interesting to see him dropping a bit more pace here. We'll see what lap times can all the drivers do. But yeah, Nims should take the fastest lap of this one. Kareckas a little bit wide, but I'd say survives it.
Gap is down to 0.7 of a second, down to 0.6 of a second. And this is the zone with a little bit of danger for Rantas Kareckas, because Simon Speth might just get that very juicy slipstream down the Döttinger straight as we approach the small carousel, and only a couple of right-handers remain for the drivers. Well, basically one long hairpin with the late apex, well, maybe double apex. As we go on that straight, Rantas Kareckas runs a little bit wide, so I think Speth has a better exit. Rantas Kareckas already knows that and tries to wiggle slightly across the track, not too much, not too risky. Well, for Simon Speth, the biggest question is when you need to make that overtake if it comes to you, but it looks like the slipstream is not working magic in these BMW. It's a very low aerodynamic car, so basically all the grip is produced mechanically, and it looks like it was not enough for Simon Speth. Rantas Kareckas stays in front, and I'm pretty sure he will not miss any apex on the final part of the racetrack, so Simon Speth should finish this race 3rd, still with the highest amount of points in his pocket, so he should come out as a winner, overall winner of the 3rd round of the sprint challenge. Jan Nimtz to a halt, Rantas Kareckas crossing the line 2nd, Speth 3rd, Italianos 4th. Lapo should finish 5th as Essa is still running down the Döttinger straight 6th, and we see a lot of drivers rushing out through the door into the next race because it's right around the corner. The sprint, the endurance challenge is about to start, and a lot of drivers that participate in this sprint challenge, they also participate in endurance challenge. We will have a short break between the races because the endurance challenge is still having the pre-qualifying session live, and Essa runs a little bit wide to tight through the chicane. I think he hit the wall. Maybe not on this occasion, but I think his BMW is heavily damaged. If our cameraman would focus, yep.
But doesn't change the position anyway, so keeps.
Essa finished 6th, Robbins 7th. We have Mack on the racetrack.
Right.
Yep, of course, as we are looking at the results for the final time of the 3rd round in the sprint challenge. Jan Nims took the win of the 2nd race, Grantas Perezcas finished 2nd, and Simon Speth taking the 3rd spot. We will take a short break, and we will be back in roughly 5 minutes with live action from the next qualifying session with the GT3 cars and the BMWs on the racetrack. So stay with us, and more racing action from the virtual Nordschleife is just around the corner.
Welcome back to the Nürburgring as we're towards the end of the qualifying session. Everybody's still got a time to set, but the clock's almost run out. And Nims, well, nobody's on provisional pole because nobody's set a lap time yet. So we'll see what the drivers can do in this session. I think this session will have enough time for everybody to set a lap. It was a little bit longer than the one that we had in the Sprint series, and the GT3s will be the first ones to set a lap in this qualifying session. Cortijo closing out his run here. Down the pit straight he goes under the M Power sign. Cortijo on to provisional pole as the only driver to set a lap so far.
A couple of drivers are already in the pit lane, including Diana and Essa. I saw Brzybilka, he was also in the pit lane, kind of decided to head back on the circuit, though he failed to make it on time, and he will not set a lap time in the GT3. So he did set a lap time, so I'm not sure why. I've seen Brzybilka being shown as indicated as standing in the pit lane. Minutes 27, that's not enough for pole, but it's enough for P2, and he might lose at least one place for the start because Bruscino is still on the racetrack. Not sure if he's on a clean lap, but he's out there on softs. Maybe he will have a good valid lap time. And that's Jan Nimtz traveling through the Döttinger Höhe straight. And is he gonna be the first BMW? I think he's gonna be the first out of the BMWs to cross the line and record a lap. This time he managed to do that on time, and he should have a valid lap time if that's correct. The qualifying session was 15 minutes long, and Jan Nimtz goes P4 overall with a lap time of 9 minutes and 15 seconds. And that's pretty fast. It's a couple, at least 3 seconds faster than he did in the sprint challenge. Simon Speth goes 5th and 2nd in the BMW class with a lap time of 9 minutes 17. Karecka still on the racetrack. Bruscino still finishing what he has started around the final corners and should cross the line shortly. That's gonna be his qualifying lap time, if that's a valid one. Let's look at the pace. It's worth of 4th place in the GT3 class and overall, but it's only a 8 minutes 53, so that was a very sketchy lap for Bruscino. Let's join the last car on the racetrack, which belongs to Grantas Kareckas. He is currently 10th overall. Only 12 cars decided to participate in this event, so not a lot of cars on the racetrack for the 3rd round of what was a most challenging championship we've witnessed so far. I think that's going to be a much quieter event for the drivers, and most of them decided to miss out this round because the sixth round championship can be decided out of 5 rounds for all of the drivers. Only 5 rounds count towards the overall results of the drivers. Grantas Kareckas still way back on the racetrack, and that keeps me wondering if he'll have the time to finish what he started. Bruscino going back out on the racetrack, just not to stay in the pit lane.
Does Kareckas have enough time actually to set the lap that he started early enough? Maybe. But he can do 9:15. That's definitely quicker than what the drivers managed to do in the sprint session. In terms of the Nims' lap time. So Karatska's the only car left to still complete a lap. Targeting pole in the M235i's. Beth, Nims, Torciali in that group of cars. It will be an interesting race with the drivers having to make that one pit stop. It is only a splash and dash that's really needed of, I think, 1 second stationary or so, but it is a longer pit lane than what we had at Vallelunga. And you don't cut out a part of the circuit when doing this pit lane, and it is a difficult entry. You really have to watch the speed as you brake towards the pits, as we saw last time with drivers receiving penalties for pit lane speeding. It will be interesting to see what strategies the drivers pick as well. But Grantas Karatskas ending his lap. The M235i's, they don't really have much strategy. It's only really
running
a little bit wide. It's only really a splash and dash. They don't need to change tires. They don't have that much tire wear.
Looking at how Grantas Karatskas exited out of the right-hand corner, I don't think he'll be able to challenge nor Janins or Simon Speth. Torciali, 9 minutes 23.3. So Grantas Karatskas, to my point of view, is currently going for P3 in the BMW class. Vu and Lapo without a lap time in the BMWs. Diana and Essa without a lap time in the GT3s. Still, the majority of drivers managed to put in a valid lap time, and here goes Grantas Karatskas, the last driver of them all to cross the line and go for the result. And
yep,
second.
Second in class, a little bit behind Jan Nims, so see how it goes in the race. Races are different, obviously, but Jan Nims putting down his mark after that win in the second race in the sprint. He's going for the endurance win here in the endurance race.
Yep, so for the results, the GT3 class seen Cortijo taking pole position, Przybylka second. Second row belongs to Biberacher and Krushino. And then we have a couple of GT3s who didn't set a valid lap time. They are going to start 5th and 6th in the GT3 class, but 9th and 10th in the overall standings, so they will have the 5th starting row. Jan Nims took pole position from Grantas Karatskas, Simon Speth and Torciali 2nd row in the BMWs. Vu and Lapo just behind the two GT3s that didn't put a valid lap time into the timing sheets. And basically that's about it. We can get ourselves prepared and ready for the start of the third round. Trying to find a better camera view, which currently is not available to our site, so we will join the drivers in roughly 15 seconds as they will start rolling and as fast as they can down the straight into first corner to start a 45 minutes
we have
race.
GT3s mixed in between the M235i's. That might create a little bit of chaos as we're off racing.
Jan Nims, drive-through penalty. It was a jump start. I thought I saw a jump start from one of the Sean Clark racing cars.
Yep,
and
jump
that was
start
exactly
for Nims. That is huge because he'll have to do a drive-through penalty for that. That's a big, big penalty. And now Grantas Karatskas can breathe a little bit. But actually he's very much involved in a battle between him, a GT3 behind, and Simon Speth. as the GT3 tried to get past this field. He actually put Grantas Karatskas under threat from Simon Speff, who's going to want to work for his teammate now to hold up Grantas Karatskas and somehow give Jan Nims a 20-second lead.
But it looks like Grantas Karatskas went back just ahead of Simon Speff. So a pretty solid qualifying session from Grantas Karatskas put him just in front of Simon Speff, and he's able to just hold on that third place. Jeez, the third place, the second place. Yeah, I'm totally mixed up. So holding up to the second place in the BMW just in front of Simon Speff as they prepare themselves to enter the Nordschleife part of the circuit. And look at Grantas' car. It's already with some damage on the sides and on the front and actually on the rear, so maybe that has something to do with those GT3s who started right on the back. They had a mix in the battles from the start, and Grantas Karatskas almost lost out to Simon Speff. He manages to hold on as strong as he can.
Will be difficult for him with a little bit of damage, though. Cortijo here for the lead. A little bit under pressure. He is. Not too much, but I'm sure he's feeling it, at least a little bit. Here comes Cortijo out on to one of the longer straights around this track, which isn't really a straight, as they'll go up to Flugplatz, turn right, very fast right, and then head down, down and up to Schwedenkreuz. This is a super duper fast part of the lap, and this is a good overtaking opportunity, especially for the GT3s. They won't have many more around this lap. To the outside goes Biberacher, and he'll try to hang on to it. Nope, backs out of it, as Cortijo runs a little bit wide, but somehow keeps it under control as they came through Schwedenkreuz there. Big wobbles from both cars, and especially from Cortijo, almost ran himself right off the road. Lead battle stays intact, but say the interesting battle is in the M235i's, where Jan Nims will have to think of something. Record quite early on power, at least it sounded like. And I think he actually looks pretty good and putting pressure on Cortijo that maybe Cortijo didn't expect. As he started this race, he was much more ahead in qualifying than what he looks like now in the race. So feeling the nerves, feeling the pressure, but this is part of the lap. If in the M235i's it was difficult to pass, here in the GT3s it's damn near impossible to make a move around this part of the lap.
Cortijo did good in the qualifying session, but it looks like Biberacher kind of found some pace, at least at the beginning of the track. He tries to hold on to Cortijo, managed to overtake Przybylka, who qualified a little bit ahead of Biberacher, although the times were basically identical. But as soon as the race starts, I think the pace of the drivers maybe matches a little bit more.
You know, when you've only got one shot at a qualifying lap, it obviously is extremely difficult. Makes sense that some drivers can go quicker. Some drivers obviously go a little bit slower. Well, not really slower, but at least the gaps get smaller, for sure. But Karatskas, Nims, and Speff, I think their gaps are staying pretty similar and pretty in line with what was happening in the qualifying session.
Simon Speff already has a warning for causing an accident or having an incident with Grantas Karatskas, and Simon Speff is at fault on that situation, though a warning doesn't give you neither a drive-through or stop and go. And I think you need to have 3 warnings to receive a drive-through penalty, but Simon Speth should be okay with those warnings. And we're riding on board with Terciali, currently finding himself behind Yuri Lapo, so he was faster in the sprint races. Kind of doesn't match the pace of Yuri Lapo currently on the racetrack, at least on the opening lap of the endurance event.
I think
mini endurance, you should say. It just basically has a taste of endurance racing, though it's not a team race.
you mistook Terciali with Tadianos.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just wanted to check, but yeah, you did. So Terciali wasn't in the sprint race.
I was too quick to judge. Good catch.
Tadianos was, but he's not in the endurance race, so yeah.
So that's why Terciali is running behind Yuri Lapo. Yuri Lapo nicely warmed up, knows the corners pretty well. He did have a chance to complete at least 6 laps, maybe 5 laps. One in the qualifying session,
four at least.
Yeah,
at least one in the. Because he didn't complete a lap, so we don't know if he actually did complete a full lap in qualifying.
That's still a little bit more experience. Recent experience, unless Terciali did spend some time in the pre-qualifying session just before the race started, but it looks like Lapo, he is just feeling a little bit more like home. 1.6 seconds between Jan Nimtz and Karetskas, only 0.3 of a second between Cortijo and Biberacher. This is the battle in the GT3 class, and the overall standings in the leaderboard. And that's gonna be a nice slipstream for the GT3 cars. It does work a little bit different than it does in the BMW class, and Biberacher gaining down the Döttinger Höhe straight. Is he gonna go for a move? Waits it out a little bit, doesn't want to make it too soon, but if you wait a little bit too long, you might miss the opportunity overall. And it looks like Biberacher decided just to bail out of this attempt. Maybe he knows that he's slightly slower than Cortijo. Oh, and still manages to get a better exit out of the final corner. And Biberacher,
But hold on for now.
he overtook Cortijo. He's in front, at least by the standings on the leaderboard. Cortijo going back at it into turn 1. It's a faster corner than it is during the Grand Prix events, because it just takes you slightly to the right and then goes to the left to cut out the arena part of the circuit. So Biberacher managed to go on the brakes slightly later and keeping on the current lead. So 1 lap completed, and the lead lap belongs to Biberacher, even though Cortijo was the car who led throughout the whole of the lap and was only overtaking out of the final corner. Still, the lead lap belongs to Biberacher.
We'll see if that position does switch, and we'll see if the pace switches here, because now you've got Cortijo, the one chasing. It's always easier to chase than to be chased, and
we will see how it goes for Cortijo, and I think Cortijo was faster throughout the lap, but maybe he made a mistake on the final corners. I had a safe gap already on the previous lap, so definitely had to make a mistake somewhere. Grandes Karetskas 1.3 seconds behind Jan Nimtz. Oh, this is a big one, and leaves out Biberacher alone at the front of the field as Cortijo tries to collect himself and the car. Hopefully that's a safe rejoin. It is, so they are lucky they didn't have cars right behind them, because he just went back straight on the track. It was clear, so nothing bad with this, though he lost quite a lot of time. 8.4 seconds the gap now between P1 and P3. So the fastest car in the qualifying session finds itself a little bit further behind the leaders. Will this situation make Cortijo calmer, or maybe a little bit more anxious, trying to chase down the leaders? Maybe he can kind of relax himself, not having to defend or chase the car that's in front. He might.
I mean, I think he'll still take the risks. I think it's also better sometimes to keep on taking those risks and keep on driving your line and driving your pace, because as soon as you slow down, it gets difficult, and then you start to make mistakes. I hope he continues on his pace, and yeah, he might just have a chance at recovering this. He only lost 8 seconds, so it's not a gap that you cannot catch back up. It's just made it a little bit more difficult.
Yep, and this race has one stop, so a little bit of room for some strategy games. Though mostly the drivers, they try to keep up with the strategy they have in mind before starting the race. At least from our experience, as we've seen in the previous races, sometimes we're really on it with Gustas to try and force some drivers to go into the pit lane earlier or later. But as we've already seen, the drivers, they don't have teams in the backgrounds trying to make decisions for them, so they basically keep the cars on the racetracks, keep driving, and try to hold on to the strategy to not have any calculations in mind as they are driving. So maybe no surprises in this one. Also, everyone is on medium tires, as Brusino keeps being faster than Essa, but kind of runs into mistakes and finds himself a little bit off the circuit, which slows him down. Look at the gap, 1.8 seconds now. But it was a little bit more before. Well, if he'll continue to make those mistakes, that's going to be a huge gap right now. And this mistake, that's going to cost Brusino quite a lot of time. Driver from Italia. Dropping off from Essa, and that's more than 10 seconds.
Yep, and well, you can see drivers are making mistakes. So if one driver makes a mistake, that doesn't mean the other one will not, so everything is still to play for, I think, in this race. And Grantas Karatskas continues to put pressure on Jan Nims, who will have to serve that penalty, remember, for that jump start. And Jan Nims, well, I think he'll drop quite far. My guess is he'll be behind Wu, sort of in that range. He'll lose at least 20 seconds. It's a slow and it's a long pit lane that doesn't cut out a part of the lap like it did in Vallelunga. So Grantas Karatskas, I don't know if he actually knows about the penalty.
He had to see it. I've seen Jan Nims jumping the start way from behind. I'm pretty sure Grantas Karatskas noticed that.
Yeah, but seeing somebody jump the start, honestly, it's probably pretty difficult most of the time to tell from inside the car, because if you have a little bit of a worse start, you then think that everybody's jumped the start and everybody's going to have thousands of seconds of penalties, but a lot of the time it's just your reaction was worse. This time it is Jan Nims jumping the start. So unless he had that also pop up, the penalty, I'm not sure. I don't know if it does pop up on his screen as well.
It might. because that's the penalty from... That's where we've read it also, from the real penalty app. So maybe they have the information on the screens, the drivers, regarding the other drivers. My bet is that they have that info. Anyways, Grantas Garetskas wants that place taken on the racetrack, as we see flowers blooming on the grass right beside the barriers. Grantas Garetskas keeps chasing down Jan Nims for the lead of the BMW class, even though currently, virtually, the leader of the BMW class is Grantas Garetskas. Jan Nims with that drive-through penalty, he will definitely lose quite a lot of places. Simon Speth and Yuri Lapo are still within 12 seconds from the lead. I'm not sure if Vu is close enough to get in front of Jan Nims, as he will complete that drive-through penalty. By the way, I think Jan Nims has 3 laps to take that penalty, so he has an option to come into the pit lane by the end of lap 3 or by the end of lap 2, which would be this current lap.
Yeah, I think it does make sense for him to push it, just so he'll have likely less traffic. He hopes less traffic, but yeah, I think it would make sense for him to still kind of.
Well, he missed out the pit lane on the first attempt, but I think the drive-through penalty needs to be taken in 3 laps, something like that. If anyone knows that, you know that better.
Yeah, I think it's 3 laps, but yeah, I think he's just waiting out until he has a bit more clear road behind, or I think
so
he wants to jump Wu at least.
Yep, so that's gonna be the end of this lap or the end of the next lap? So that should be the end of the next lap.
Yeah, it would be the end of the next lap, 3 laps, but we'll see, because now he's coming under threat from Grantas Garetskas, so in his situation he probably then would like to pit and get out of this battle to not lose too much race time.
What about a strategy move if the the start and finish line is definitely in front of some pit boxes? Can you make that mandatory pit stop if you have your pit stall just before the start-finish line on the final lap? For that slash and dash? How does it work?
I don't think so, because I think you have to cross the pit exit line for it to count. So.
Okay.
I don't think this has been tried before in real motorsport, but I think they've closed that loophole, and I don't think that loophole exists here.
It shouldn't. There were times where that was possible, and I'm clearly remember the famous Michael Schumacher win in the British GP.
Silverstone, yep. Down to the pits is Nims, so he's serving his penalty right now. I would guess he's serving his penalty right now. He could also be doing his mandatory pit stop as well. Actually, all the pit boxes are after the timing line, so anyway, this wouldn't work either way. So it is penalty here for Jan Nims. Drive-through taken, no penalty for speeding. That's something also, I guess, you have to keep in mind. Actually, didn't lose that much time. I thought he'd lose more.
It's still relatively a very short pit lane for the drivers to complete.
It's a fast pit lane. That's the point.
Yeah.
I think Assetto Corsa actually keeps the pit lane quite quick compared to, for example, what we'll have this weekend in the 24 hours on Assetto Corsa Competizione. The pit lane is definitely slower there. It's definitely a much bigger time loss than it is here. Not as big of a time loss as it is when you get a drive-through at Spa, but still a bigger time loss than what you get here. Because I think here pit limiter is set at 80 kilometers an hour, so that's a very, very fast pit lane. That's F1 speeds of pit lane.
Yep. So after 2 completed laps for the BMWs and 2.5 completed laps, actually less than 2.5 completed laps for the GT3s, the biggest gap between the leader and the last car is 2.5 minutes. So we might not see a traffic race. as we are used seeing on regular racetracks in this championship. There is a slight possibility for the cars to run against each other after some certain time.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have traffic. I can't really see traffic happening here unless somebody makes some really big mistakes. I don't think we'll see any traffic here.
And actually, Grantas Karetkas is only 9.5 seconds behind Essa, the last GT3 car. So not that big of a gap. And well, Jan Nims needs 14.5 seconds to catch up with Grantas Karetkas. I'm not sure if that's doable. I'm basically sure that's not doable, and currently Jan Nims, he should start thinking about the best position he can finish off this race at. If Grantas Karetkas and Simon Speth will not make any mistakes, Jan Nims is looking at P2 finish. He will have
P2. I mean, if that's assuming that he catches up to Simon Speth. I mean, he's quick, but time's running out. I don't think it's gonna be that easy unless Simon Speth lifts off and lets Jan Nims through. But
well,
or does what? Oh, I thought Yuri Lapo just ran right off the road and gave that position up. But I don't think Yuri Lapo's gonna fight Jan Nims too much. I don't think there's much of a fight here anyway. He does the smart thing and actually lifts even before the foxhole.
Jan Nims' lap time was 9 minutes 21.9. That was only 1 second and 2/10 slower than the lap time of Simon Speth, even with Jan Nims rolling through the pit lane. Well, part of the pit lane. He crossed the line while being in the pit lane.
Small part of the pit lane. Because if you look at Grantas Karetkas, who ran a very similar time, I would say, to Jan Nims. I think he was just a little bit quicker through that lap because he caught up. It's 9:17.4, so if we assume a 3-second gain per lap of Nims versus Speth, it's gonna be tight. It's not a done deal, I would say, for these two.
Yep, it's not.
Unless again it's a team decision to give Nims the points.
Yep. In the meanwhile, Cortijo is trying to gain back onto P1, and well, he's doing a decent job. It was 8.5 seconds after that mistake that Cortijo made. It's 5.8 seconds now as it stands. Only 1.5 seconds behind Brzabilka. So it's not going to be an easy move for Cortijo. He's just slightly faster as it seems. He'll definitely have a chance to overtake Brzabilka, and it looks like, well, Cortijo has a chance of winning this event, even with that mistake, but he needs to avoid any further mistakes, and he needs to keep it tight, because the pace difference is not that huge, and yep, Cortijo's flying. The line and the way the car moves around the track tells us a clear story what's happening behind the wheel of Cortijo's car or simulator. Look at how he uses the track. Definitely tries to be really fast on the exits of the corner, maybe a little bit too fast with the entries, and running out of track of tarmac on the exits, but he's trying his best, and currently will not with the lap time that they set on the previous occasion, but with the pace that the drivers in the GT3 have, it looks like he's the fastest car on the racetrack at this moment, but not by much. 8 seconds between Speth and Jan Nims, so gap is basically identical as it was. That's 15.5 seconds between Karetkas and Nims. Will we have at least one driver entering the pit lane by the end of this lap. I mean, not for a drive-through, but for a planned pit stop. They have the chance, they have the possibility, they have the opportunity. Cortijo might just use that opportunity, and Biberacher actually came into the pit lane for that mandatory pit stop. Maybe he decided to play some sort of a game, just extend that gap between himself and Cortijo to not kind of create the easy calculations for the driver who tries to chase him down.
It is a tire change for Biberacher.
That's interesting. That's a long stop, and it might be the decisive moment for this event. And look, Cortijo is already first because Przybylka is also in the pit lane. Yep. So both GT3 class leaders decided to enter the pit lane by the end of the third lap for the GT3s, right in the middle of the race.
I really didn't expect a tire change here.
Look at Jan
I didn't think
Nimt.
the tire was so high.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I thought they have already crossed the line. They are still on the same lap. How long that track is for the BMWs, it's unbelievable. I kind of already cheered for Jan Nimt and wanted to shout out, look at the lap time of Jan Nimt with the drive-through. That's going to be definitely a longer lap time as he will cross the line, but looking at the pace, it's basically identical between the first three leaders in the BMW class.
Yeah, I mean, Karetskas looks a little bit faster than Spef. Nims looks a little bit faster than Spef as well, but we'll see when they decide to take their pit stops. Are they gonna hang out towards the very, very end? Karetskas probably will. It would make sense for him to not rush going into the pits here. He doesn't want to end up in traffic.
They only have two chances left now, so this is either the end of this lap or the end of the next lap.
I believe they have free, because the GT3s are quite a bit more on the road.
Maybe, you're right. The length of the race depends from the GT3s for the BMWs.
Yep. Karetskas stays on track, I believe. He does, yes. Karetskas stays on the circuit. Does Spef take it down to the pits? Nope. Does Nims take it down to pit lane? Nope. Does not as well, but Lapo does.
Did he hit the barriers on the entry? Maybe that just looked
No,
like
I think that it's quite bumpy there on the entry to the pit, so maybe that's why.
Oh, look at the tire choice for Przybylka.
Yep. Interesting to go to the softs. Is that really worth the time loss of making a pit stop? I couldn't believe that they didn't stick with the mediums. So this is a chance for Cortijo actually to get in front. Because if he doesn't do a tire change, I think he'll be in the lead.
Yep, so both Biberacher and Przybylka, they went for a tire change. Cortijo now has 37 seconds gap between himself and Biberacher. And he has a free choice of his strategy decision.
There's only one choice: don't change tires for him, really. If he want, because the worst that can happen here is he finishes third, where he was. So that's the worst possible outcome of this race for him is to finish third. So don't change tires. That's it, and hope for the best. Try to hold on. And I think it makes sense here, because I never really thought of the Nordschleife as really a track where you use so much tires that you really need to change it in the middle of a stint. Bruschino.
That's an easy move.
Well, on a BMW M235i, shouldn't have too much trouble. It's got about 200 more horsepower and a lot more aero and or drag, yeah, sure, but running about a minute faster a lap, so would be strange to see him struggle here, but he'll have to actually get past Spef and Karetskas. I think this is the only GT3 that is in any sort of traffic, and that's self-inflicted here because Brusino was a little bit slower and actually came out behind the M235i leaders as he went out of the pits. So that's his issue here.
So looking at the lap times of Jan Nimtz, it looks like a drive-through is worth something like 19 seconds. The lap time, the second lap time of the drive-through penalty for Jan Nimtz is 9 minutes 32. So let's assume the clean lap time for Jan Nimtz is 9 minutes 17. So he lost 4 seconds with the first part of the drive-through, and he lost 15 seconds, so that's 19 seconds for the drive-through.
That's a very F1 style, because of the very fast pit lane, that's a very F1 style drive-through penalty loss.
Yep.
Brusino now behind Speff, again, not too much trouble here. And actually Speff is doing a really good job at holding on, because he's still 7.3 ahead of Nim. Ahead of Nims. So, hasn't lost that much time. Brusino,
that's dangerous, and Simon Speff runs right into him.
Well, sometimes it's not your fault, and this time it's definitely not Simon Speff's fault. And now I think Nims is, he'll not have too much trouble catching up. Speff has damage, and
so I'm not sure what's going through the head of Simon Speff right now and how many curse words he needs to take and shout out in front of his monitor, but it depends on the damage that Simon Speff has now. I think he still can avoid the fixing of his car. We need to take a look at the
I think he'll avoid fixing it, but I cannot see him staying ahead of Jan Nims with the damage now.
And that's gonna be really bad because Brusino, he's coming right back at him. He's in a GT3 car, much faster. That's not very nice of racing for Jan Nims. Look at for Simon Speff. Actually, Jan Nims had a collision with Brusino also. Look at him running all around, all over the track. That's not over. Jan Nims cannot be calm, and both of the Sean Clark Racing team drivers have to deal with a very loose Mercedes AMG GT3 car on a racetrack where you basically have no space to avoid a sliding or spinning vehicle in front. It's not only takes time to react of what's happening in front, but you need to have space to overtake drivers spinning. Brusino receiving a warning. Well, there was not a lot of that he could do. He simply lost control on the racetrack, and Simon Speff was a little bit too close. Now both of the cars meet each other again. I'm pretty sure Simon Speff will try and go to the pit lane by the end of this lap. Oh, and again Brusino braking really late and spinning Simon Speff around. Now this was really silly mistake and a really bad move by Brusino. 12 cars on the track still making contact with each other.
Yeah, that's really bad luck for Simon Speff.
And again Brusino side by side. What is this driver doing on the racetrack? He basically ruined the race for Simon Speff and still cannot keep it together. And he might cause even more troubles for the teammates that are now fighting for... Well, they are not fighting anymore. Jan Nims is up to P2 in the BMW class, but I'm really interested of sticking around with Bruscino. Because I'm pretty sure he might lose control again.
The job is not done yet. Bruscino still got one. Well, he's still got one more Sean Clark racing car to take out, and Grantas Karatskas, I'm sure he doesn't understand how this time loss is happening, but he's got to be careful. Oh, I think Bruscino's off again. That's gonna cause trouble.
Yeah, Nim's in danger again, and oh my word. This is some really bad quality racing, actually.
Cortijo, by the way, out of the pits. I think he did a tire change as well, because he's not gained time. So, yep, he's gone to the softs for 2 laps.
Przybyłka doesn't seem to be faster. He's actually slower than Biberacher, so Diana got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This is a GT3 car, so good news for Bruscino as he keeps spinning around.
That's gonna help much.
Yeah, a really difficult race for Bruscino. He received 20-second penalty, by the way, and -2 SR points for what he have cost on the racetrack. Not sure that's gonna help Simon Speth calm himself down. You can understand the first incident. Well, the car in front lost control, you had nowhere to go, you hit it. Okay, you were unlucky in that situation. But the second one, that's really bad driving by the other driver, and that shouldn't happen.
No, it was really huge mistakes, and Cortijo, I can't understand changing tires. Karatskas down to pit road as he takes his one and only pit stop of the race. This should just be a very quick splash and dash. In and goes out. Nope, maybe not.
Slightly longer stop, not too long. He had time. Jan Nim's also going into the pit lane. By the calculations, they will have 6 laps in the BMWs, even though the time will run out.
Yep, they'll have an extra lap.
Yep,
anyway.
they will have an extra lap.
GT3s
Hopefully,
are far in front.
So hopefully the drivers have calculated that correctly, because one extra lap on the Nordschleife is a lot of fuel.
I think maybe that's why Karatskas actually sat for a little bit longer. Maybe just added a little bit of extra fuel, knowing he could do it. I mean, he's lost time to Speth in the pit, to Nims in the pits. So, yeah, he definitely decided to do something extra. Maybe just a little bit of extra fuel, just to make sure he gets to the end.
Yep, all the drivers, all the BMW drivers, well, at least from the lead group, they made pits. Well, actually, all the drivers in the BMWs made pit stops.
Well, everybody made pit stops already.
Yep, Bruscino for the second time in the pit lane. Not sure for what reason. Maybe just to fix the car.
The heavy damage maybe on his car could be a reason. Couldn't see much out of his windshield, it looked like. So.
Yep. So Simon Speth was also for a very short time standing in the pit lane. Definitely no fix for the car. So I'm cheering for the guys having calculated the distance of this race correctly.
Because Speth couldn't really fix, because he's got Terchali 7.5 seconds behind him. So they didn't have time to fix anything, and this is going to be difficult for him, I think, to hold on. With the amount of damage that he's got, he's going to have to drive really well to actually stay ahead, because Terchali, I mean, he's slower than the leaders, but is he slower than a very heavily damaged Speth? We'll see. Cortijo, though, difficult to understand the choice of going to that soft tire. He's gonna have to make a move on Przybyłka now. Oh, I mean, sooner rather than later, definitely, because he's not got much. He's not got much time to make any move happen. He goes to the outside of the carousel. That's not where you make an overtake. Wow. But honestly surprised. Surprised he even thought of trying that. I've never seen somebody actually overtake around the outside on the carousel, but was a attempt, I guess. But Corticho's still behind. He'll have to make a move soon. He looks to be over pushing at least a little bit because he's going off wide in some places. Bilka looks like just driving his line. Not losing too much time from Biberacher up in front, so that's important and good. And we'll see what happens here into this braking zone. Still no overtake, still no way to make an overtake, still no space to make an overtake. So he'll have to wait until the Dottingoa, and I think that's going to be his real shot of making a move.
I think both of the drivers have to think about the longevity of the tire softs. Well, they are much fresher on the car of Cortijo, but they are... Yep, here goes Cortijo on the outside.
That's early. He tried that outside move around the carousel, and yeah, just again a very desperate try here. I wouldn't even understand why you would make a move before the Dottingoa. Because, I mean, you'll get overtaken right back, so it just makes sense to wait. And now he's lost that opportunity, and I think he's lost any opportunity that he had for the lead. Still, for me, the strangest decision is to try that tire change here.
So we don't have the big names this afternoon of the championship. So in the GT3 class we don't have Mendelis, O'Brien, Grodinis and Saldukas. Cortijo actually is currently third in the overall standing, so he's the highest car of the three battling. Przybylka is currently 11th last with 0 points. And Biberacher, he just joined the series. So Cortijo looking for a healthy amount of points, but he needs to overtake Przybylka. But while making those, I'd say, incorrect decisions, he doesn't look good of winning this race, because well, the drivers just started their final lap of this race. They will not overtake BMWs by 1 full lap in this race, meaning that Kareckas and Nims, they still have 1.5 laps remaining. For me, the biggest question is, did the drivers calculate the fuel correctly? Hopefully they did, but still you cannot be certain. Because, well, you have to consider all the small details, and maybe not all the drivers were able to do that. Cortijo trying to overtake Przybylka on the GP track, but again, well, on corners where you usually don't do overtakes, you just try and stay as close to your rival as possible, not go around him on a very fast corner, trying to overtake him on the outside line. That usually doesn't happen, and Cortijo, he's found himself stuck behind Przybylka, both of the cars struggling to put in a very good lap time. Przybylka running a little bit wide, almost leaving the door open for Cortijo, though he manages to stick inside. Oh, definitely a nice move for Cortijo now. And he's up in front of Przybylka, but lost a lot of precious time to the lead of Biberacher. Biberacher staying on the mediums, and well, I kind of think this is a wiser decision. You can punish the tires a little bit harder because it's a harder compound. Przybylka of the racetrack comes back on it. As in the meantime, in the pit lane, yep, so Przybylka comes back on the track, lost a healthy amount of time, 7.5 seconds between Biberacher and Cortijo. I think that's undoable for Cortijo, and if Biberacher will not make any mistakes, looks like he is looking for a win in the GT3 class with his debut.
Here's Speth, still damaged. Tercali getting close, 3.6 now. I feel like that battle's gonna be problematic for Speth with the amount of damage that he's got on his car. Oh, I really can't see him holding on here.
Yep, and we have Brushinov flying around the racetrack. He's a threat for the BMWs. If he will not mistakes until he catches up with them,
I don't think he'll catch up. I mean, the amount of mistakes he's made so far, I think he's just a little bit too far away to actually catch up. Yeah, it doesn't look like the pace is very high.
Well, a normal pace, the difference is roughly 1 minute between the GT3s and the BMWs. He's half a minute behind. Yep, so
Diana completes the stop and go.
Yep, so Grantas Kareckas crossed the line. Jan Nimts to cross it further to start the final laps for the BMWs.
And yeah, gained a lot of time on Kareckas, so yeah, definitely Kareckas sat in the pits for a little bit longer. So just making sure he's safe with the fuel.
Yep, looks like Kareckas did add some extra fuel into his BMW, but does that mean that the Sean Clark Racing guys, did they add... Well, if they hadn't added an extra fuel into their cars, they had a chance. They had a chance to do it, but...
Maybe they were confident that they had enough, or they were right on the edge and maybe had to take a little bit of a risk there. So
yeah, maybe.
Probably makes sense on there. Maybe they just had enough fuel to begin with. So maybe Grantas didn't and had to refuel and actually got lucky that Nims got that penalty because he didn't have to worry about adding extra fuel without losing a position.
Yep. Well, fuel usage is 150%. The drivers know how much fuel they need for one full lap while they do the pre-qualifying runs. They calculate that pretty neatly. I'm pretty sure they thought things through and they didn't make mistakes that I was talking about. Oh, and actually Simon Speth is at risk of losing P3.
Yeah,
so
and I think he's going to lose that position. I just can't see him holding on with the amount of damage that he has and not his fault as well. He's just going to be too slow here. And not through, again, not through any fault of his own. Just too much damage. The cars, it looks almost undrivable.
13 seconds slower lap time than Jan Nimtz's lap time, both cars with a pit stop, by the way. Grantas Kareckas' lap time was 6 seconds longer than the lap time of Jan Nimtz with that pit stop.
It could also be that Grantas Kareckas made a mistake in the pit stop and just fueled up too much, so that's also a possibility, but he didn't really lose anything from that. Didn't gain anything, but didn't really lose anything. He had a 20-second lead. it came down to 15, but a 15-second lead is more than comfortable with the pace that he has. Actually, Cortijo catching up to Biberacher, so if not for those couple of mistakes, maybe he would have been able to catch up even with a tire change. Now, I think that is very much out of the question. Tarchali, well, Speff actually managed to do quite well through that section of corners and to keep pace, but as soon as they get to the straights, you can see the gap coming down on the bottom of your screen. It's just going down, 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 down to 2/10 now. Maybe he'll try and make a move right here. Nope, still waits, so doesn't need to rush it, does Tarchali. He knows he can get past. He's got 9.5 seconds behind him, so that's safe. So he doesn't need to make a silly mistake here. Just needs to get past him, and he'll get that podium.
I wonder how Lapo lost out to Tarchali. We've missed that on our screens. Maybe Lapo made
Something
a mistake,
in the pits.
or maybe something in the pit lane. But he's currently trying to catch up. How much is Simon Speth at risk to be overtaken not only by Tarchali but also by Lapo? Oh, I think we finished the race already. Biberacher taking the checkered flag and Cortijo finishing second with the fastest lap time of the race so far. Yep, this is the finish for the GT3 car leaders. Brzebilka finishing third. Then the other cars are still way back of the lead group, with Esa currently running fourth, Diana fifth, Grantas Kretskas first in the BMWs, Nimts second, and quite a lot of track remain for the BMW drivers, with Simon Speth trying to hold on to P3, and he's actually doing a great job. Tarchali is 1 second behind now already, so as you said, patience is key. Maybe being too patient can cost you a podium finish here. I'm pretty confident that Tarchali will have the chance to overtake Speth.
No, he'll have the Dottingoa anyway. I wouldn't, if I was him, I wouldn't really worry here. I'd be more worried about making an early move and regretting it later. Lapo, I don't think he's going to catch up. There's, I mean, it's 8 seconds, and Speth I think he's going just about quick enough to hold on to that position. And let's see how much Tarchali now gains down this straight. This is going to be a good reference for what's going to happen down the Dottingoa if they do, if the positions do stay the same. By the time they reach that, wow, half a second more, 8/10 he's gained. Gained a second now. Talking about patience, that didn't look patient at all, but holds on for now. And a chance, maybe? Nope. So Speth still holds on. I can't see him holding on down the Dottingoa. No way.
But that's his only hope and only chance, with roughly half of a lap remaining for these drivers. He's doing the best that he can, definitely, Simon Speth, with the amount of damage that he has on his car. And Bruscino having that 20 seconds penalty, that's definitely not making the life easier for Simon Speth, especially when both cars are in different classes, and it doesn't give much to Simon Speth while finishing in front of a GT3 car if he'll manage to do that. Bruscino roughly 20 seconds behind these drivers, knowing how many mistakes Bruscino makes. Looks like he'll finish last on the grid. Tarchali, he's overdriving the car slightly, not fitting well in all of the corners. That's giving a small hope for Simon Speth of having the hardest race of his life so far, one could imagine. If he'll be able to finish in P3, that's gonna be a big achievement. But it's still quite a long way to go for both of the drivers, including Tarciali, who is aiming for P3 finish in this very special race with only a couple of cars participating yet. Most of the drivers, as Gustas already mentioned, most probably they decided to miss out on this round just to have enough of time to prepare for the special 24 hours event on this weekend, which will start on Saturday, and it will be held on the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform. So most likely the drivers don't want to miss or mix those preparation laps, just to prepare as good as they can for the special event and count this round off. The rules allow that, 6 rounds in total, but only 5 rounds count over the overall standings of the drivers. There we go, Döttinger Höhe straight, 1.1 second gap between Speth and Tarciali.
Tight, and it's gonna be very tight. Has Karatska's finish? I think he has.
The cameraman is more interested in the trees and the leaves. And this is the finish.
Now he does. Yep, so Grantas Kratskas takes the win. Janus will finish second. This is your battle for the podium. Look at how much he's caught up. Tarciali, the gap's coming down, down, down. He goes to the outside. Nothing Speth could do here and gets the move done. So Tarciali was smart to wait all the way through and gets it done at the end there. Just needs to get it stopped for the final chicane. Speth couldn't do anything, and you got a feel for him. He really, really did a good job at holding on, but it just wasn't his day. Just not his fault, and just got taken out.
Oh, that hurts to look at. Simon Speth finishing 4th by no mistakes of his own. But there's nothing he can do there. He had a chance to try and fix the car, but I'm pretty sure that would have taken too long. So he decided to finish this race with the damage that he had, and most likely it didn't change anything, whether he would have chosen to fix the car or race as it is. He would still had only P4, maybe even P5 if he decided to fix that car. So everyone calculated the fuel correctly. All the cars finished and crossed the line, including that final GT3. Wu finished the race slightly earlier, roughly 3 laps ago. But let's congratulate Biberacher for taking the win in the GT3 class, Cortiggio finishing 2nd, Przybylka 3rd, and the win goes for Grantas Kareckas, 2nd win in this championship on 2nd occasion. He missed out the 1st round, so he came back for the 2nd one. So it looks like Grantas Kareckas is here to stay in this championship. Jannems finished 2nd, Tarciali 3rd, and Simon Speth 4th. We didn't have the big names this afternoon, but I'm pretty sure we will have all the drivers in a couple of weeks. And now everyone, including us, can go for a short break and prepare ourselves for the 24 hours event happening this weekend on the World Sim Series platform using Assetto Corsa Competizione platform. These are the results on your screens, and it was a pleasure to comment this race with Gustas as usual. Thanks.
Likewise. And we'll be very excited for this weekend's 24-hour race from the same place. It will be, I'm sure, a very, very exciting one. And as always at the Nordschleife, I think weather might play a part in it as well.
Yep, so cheers, have a good night, and see you on weekend.